Welcome back to this old country house in New England. So it's mid-December. We're about to get snow for the first time. And on my roof here, I'm going to be installing this de-icing cables. So I bought this kit off Amazon. It's a 200 feet cable. And my intention is to install it just along this piece of roof in here and then go up the eave over there as well. What we experienced last winter where we didn't have these cables is we get very little sun on this part of the roof, particularly in that eave there. And actually we had a ice dam and we had some water seeping in to the rooms up there in the second floor. So we're going to put them on today. So I'll walk you through the steps that I'm doing to put them on. I do a little bit of unboxing of what's in this kit as well. And if you want to pick it up, I'll put the link in the description. So you can go on Amazon and get yourself a kit. I think at the time I bought it, it was about $80 or $90. So I've come inside so I can do a better unboxing of this. I'll take my gloves off, it's a little warmer in here. Okay, so it's the first time I've ever installed one of these. So it comes with the clips that I need to install. More clips. Okay, 4 bags of clips, maybe 5. Let's say this is the 200 foot 1000 watts edition. Yeah, so there's my cable. That's the end of the end. So I have an outlet on the outside where I'm going to begin. Instructions. So that's everything that comes in the box. So I'm going to quickly show you a couple of the aspects to calculating the right length of cable that you need and the distance of the essentially that you're going to zigzag along the roof. So one thing you have to do is measure your overhang of your, let's say, I guess the gutter to your wall, and depending on what that overhang is then going to dictate the width of your, let's call it a triangle, and your height. So the tracing width and the tracing height. So here's a good diagram which shows you what that is. But that's all pertinent to the distance of your overhang. So calculate your distance of your overhang. This is not like fractions of an inch or a foot. This is inches and centimeters. So pick your unit, and that's going to dictate your tracing height and width. So I'm quite lucky as well. So this setup is actually very similar to what I have on the outside of my house. So I'm going to follow this a little bit. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go around my dormer, but I am going to go up the valley where I mentioned I have an ice dam. So, and you're going to measure that and go approximately 2/3 of the way up. So my intention is to zigzag along the roof, go up the valley, down, zigzag a little bit more, and then run back along the gutter. And the instructions say a good way to use excess cable is to run it up and down your gutter. Some people will plan to do that, you don't have to, but it is a great opportunity to use excess cable that you have. And if you have a skylight, to stretch it up to the skylight. Skylights is not something I have to worry about where I'm installing this. Okay, so I think I'm ready to go. Okay, so I got up here to begin, and obviously the first thing I thought I'd taken care of a couple of weeks ago when most of the leaves came off the trees, but I guess there was a few more. So before I actually begin, I'm going to just finish clearing out any last leaves that came in the gutter, so I can make sure this is completely clear. So I'm laying my cable in the unobstructed in the right place, and don't want it to, I don't know what the danger is here, but I don't want it to heat up or burn any of these leaves. There's quite a lot. As you can see, I'm surrounded by pretty thick forest. I've gotten pretty lucky that there's been a frost and a little bit of moisture, so it's all frozen together. So actually it's coming out pretty good. I'm getting a nice clean gutter because it's literally all the dirt at the bottom and the junk on top. So a couple more minutes and this will be ready to go. So this is how I'm starting. I have my electrical outlets on the side of my my front porch here. So you have this, like, I don't know, like 2 feet of blue cable at the end. So I measured that out, it just about reaches. And then I've cable tied on here, because in the summer I'm going to want to just unplug this and tie it down here. So everything I put up, I want to keep pretty clean and tidy. So I've cable tied this here, and I'm going to run this up the back of the drain on the outside and that's going to take me up to the roof, and then I'll start my zigzagging. Okay, an additional prep task that I've done. See, I had the cable on there, and I've now ran it back and forth on my lawn. You can't really see it very clearly, but my intention of doing this, according to the instructions, is you want to take out any spirals that are in the cable, make sure it's not twisted. So you can see down here, like it's as it spirals. So as I unwind it, you can feel like any other cable, you can feel where it's flat, and you don't want those twists on the install. Second thing, making sure it works right. It's going to heat up. It's going to be a little more bendable when I go to install it, and that should help us because it's a 34-degree day here. It's like 1 degree Celsius, so it's not warm. It's not going to bend on its own very well. So this should all set me up for a better install. Okay, so I'm about halfway done. It doesn't look like a perfect zigzag because I haven't got it fully tied down at the bottom yet, because I'm going to be running it's my finger going along there. I'll be running the cable back along, and that's going to weight it down. But I've got to this channel here. So my next step is to get up onto the roof and run the cables up and down that channel. So a couple of comments on this. First, it's way easier than I anticipated. This is definitely a DIY job if you're comfortable being on a ladder. It took me a little while to get the first two in position, but after I got that, the spacing and the number of tiles up just becomes real easy, and you can find rhythm and momentum pretty quickly. So about 2/3 of the way across the roof, but I think the channel's going to be a little more challenging. So I think I'm about halfway through the job in total. Okay, as you can see here, so I ran it up that channel, and now I'm feeding it all the way back through the gutter itself. Obviously I've got these supports on the gutter, so I'm gonna have to feed through one by one, about 3 or 4 to go, and I'm gonna have some access. So I'm gonna run just around the bend and see how much I can get done on the next roof over. But that roof's not my priority because it does get a little more sunlight than this, and I had no ice down there last year. Okay, so here's a close-up of how I did this. So, and you'll see I've used it. It's the same clips that you have to use. So they're on there a slight angle. Most of them are on straight. But what it does cause is the wire to the cable to not be able to run straight up and down. So obviously every time there's a clip, you can see the wire has to just bend a little bit. So I was a little disappointed in that. It'd be great if you had a clip here, and then this clip over this side was at a right angle, so suitable for running these up and down. But that wasn't included in the box. But it's the least pretty part, and so I'm a bit disappointed in that. But you know, my priority right now is protect the roof from ice dams, and I'm confident that this is gonna get the job done. So on this small piece of roof here, I had a little bit to run up and down. Still have to tighten this up, don't worry about that. And then I've just run down the edge of the roof, and that's where we enter the gutter, and we run back through. It's hard to show. There we go. Run back through all the way along. So my next step here is to attach these to the clips to hold the cable down. And so I am completely done with this side of the roof. I'll zoom in fact, I'll just come down here so you can see now I have my clips on, keeping that spaced out, tied on to the cable that's coming back through the gutter in every single time it comes down. So pretty happy with this. So I'll step back and see how this side looks. Okay, so here we are from a distance. So I'm pretty happy with that. I can see that my spacing is not quite perfect, but I guess I could probably see that maybe it's not quite as visible to someone who didn't do the work themselves. As I say, running up and down the channel, I'm keeping it spaced about 2 inches apart, and this small bit on this side. But yeah, overall pretty happy with this. Okay, so so here's my excess coming down here. have it running around to about here, doubling back. So the reason I doubled it up is the first piece of advice they tell you to do with the excess is to double it up and run it down the drain. But clearly if I do that, I'm still gonna have excess. So what I'm going to do is move on to the next gutter here and just go as far as long as I think I can get. Again, this part never gets, even today, and it's not quite the depth of winter yet, doesn't get the sunlight over here. It does some on this side, so it's gonna be beneficial, and then we'll see where we get. Another idea I have is to run it down this drain and run it down this drain and don't do anything on top here. So I'm going to play around with how much excess that I have and see which is the best option for me. So I'm going to go with the option of feeding it down this drain and then the next one. So I measured it out, you can see at the bottom there, and doubled it back on itself. I have my spacers about every 2 feet apart. So I'm going to climb up this ladder a little higher and just feed this gently down the drain. I've got 2 bends to go around, actually 3, 2 up here and then 1 at the bottom. It's going to reach about that bend at the bottom, so if it doesn't quite go around there, I'm not too worried about it. Let's see how we get on. I'm trying very carefully to film this as I push. I have got it around that first bend. It's not. Okay, now I'm around because it's cruising down. So let's keep feeding this down. 1 more spacer to go. 2 more actually, sorry. There we go. Okay, and we're done. Drop that in like that, and now I have my excess. Feed that around there and do the same on my second drain. So here we are at a distance. Maybe it's not easy to see, but I'm complete. And I have my excess going down my drain pipes and a little bit along this gutter here, like I said I was going to. Overall, probably took me about 2 hours to do, but it is definitely a DIY job. If you're comfortable on ladders, you can do it yourself. You don't need any particular tools. Everything that you need comes in the box, except, as I said, like what comes in the box gets you up the channels. But it's not ideal, but it's good enough. So look, I appreciate you watching this long. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of what we're doing at this old country house in New England. Thank you for your time. Hey, if you want to get this, I'll put the link in the description for you to click on and take you straight to this product that I used. Have a great day.